So welcome back YouTube to Rest of Designs, and welcome to part 1 of Project Freebie. So moving on from the last episode, we've actually got the car in the workshop. I actually pushed it into the workshop today with the hopes of actually getting it running today, get the timing belt done, get all the service parts done, and make sure all the lights work to try and get this thing road legal. If you saw the last video, it's absolutely amazing. It's worth watching. The amount of dirt that I took out of this car. The outside still hasn't been dealt with. It's gonna be a long time before it actually gets resprayed, but I do want to make the car look at least half respectable. So I'm gonna kind of, you know, back to black all the plastics on it, give it a clean as much as it can do. The lack is peeling off this everywhere. And hopefully by the end of this video, I will get this car actually running. Looks like the engine's been sucking up a lot of oil through the breather, so you need to investigate that as well. Right, first port of call is obviously safety, and the first thing to check is always if your fuel lines, especially on a car like this, you don't know the history of it, and generally as a service anyway, you should always check these things. Okay, so looking at this is the return line. It looks in good condition. The feed also looks decent. The filter looks new. And then you've got this little pipe here. Hold on, it feels a bit rough here. Let me just bend this over. Oh wow, look at that. Lucky I found that. That's why you should always check these things. Okay, so first things first, let's change this. Right, so that's the fuel side safe. Like I just trimmed that back because the pipe isn't perished or hard, and just put the right size clip on there. Also noticed actually that this actually wasn't connected, which is the vacuum advance for the distributor. So someone had just literally bridged those across and maybe hadn't noticed that this was actually needed to begin. So that's in. And now for that side, I've just made it look a little blanker to go onto there. So I took the plugs out, and also running very rich. So I'm going to see if I can adjust the fuel mixture on this, as well as I also noticed one of the leads is not the same. So I think maybe the car was actually misfiring as well on this one, because this one seems quite carboned up as well. I do like finding problems like this. It means that then the cars are going to be so much sweeter when it's actually running with all this new stuff in it. I've sorted out all these little issues. So plug's all done. Replace that lead, like I'm saying to you there. You see it's slightly different. It's not a 90, it's a straight, but it does the job. Also I've done the cap and the arm, so that's kind of all the ignition side is done. I also noticed this pipe here is perished, so this is the next thing I'm going to be replacing, is this overflow pipe. And then also, just for good measure, I'm going to make sure there's no issues with the thermostat. I'm going to replace that as well. Not a good sign. I took the thermostat out and somebody had gutted the thermostat. So I wonder if this car actually had overheating problems. It's going to be, time will tell, I guess. I'm going to fit the new one on, and let's see what the water pump's like. First things first, so I'll just loosen 17 and the 213s at the bottom. So I can just take this belt off. I'm really starting to wonder if this actually does have a head gasket problem. Yep, that needs to be replaced as well. Luckily I got one of those. Okay, this water pump looks like it hasn't been changed forever. It's probably as old as the car is. Look at that. Very, very crusty. Let's see if I can get this out so you guys can have a good look. Look at that. Looks like it's been at the bottom of the sea. It does rotate. New water pump fitted. Timing belt cover back on. Gave it a good clean down here. Degreased it as you saw. There's my special timing belt tool for the water pump. Just a screwdriver basically. It just rotates the pump round. And that's what the actual tensioner is, actually the pump on this. Timing belt's all done. Turned it around twice to make sure there was no contact. I'm going to leave the cover off to make sure. I sprayed a little bit of carb cleaner in there, so to hopefully help it start. So let's see if I can get this to start. Wow guys, it runs. Okay, that's not too bad. I'm quite happy with that. I gave it a little bit of gas and it did actually run quite cool. Now I'm gonna open up the garage, put the air filter housing back on and the air filter back in, and let's see what it actually does, if it overheats and stuff, and hopefully it's not the head gasket, hopefully. All right, let's do this. I did notice that now that it's dark and it's in the workshop, I turn the lights on and nothing happens. They don't actually illuminate. So as I've got to take the radio out, I'm going to take the radio out, take this whole bit out and actually change these bulbs in here. Took the clocks off and you can see these bulbs here, they're all blown. I've got 3 good ones, but what I'm going to do is I'm still going to test them, make sure if I put them on that they all do work. You should see straight away by, yep, so that means, so that one works. Yep, so this one will work as well. And that one will work as well. Perfect. So, replaced all this lot. Now let's take it outside, warm it up, and let's see if the head gasket's gone, or if there's any other issues with it. So I managed to get it outside, and then it stalled. I was cranking, I couldn't figure out why it wouldn't start. It ran out of fuel. So I've just gone to get some fuel. Let's put some fuel in, and let's see what happens if it overheats, if the head gasket is gone or not. So I took the radiator off because the fan wasn't coming on. When I actually used the wire to bypass the fan switch, it blew the fuse inside. So I think the motor is obviously putting too much load. So I've decided to take it all off and have further investigation. So I'm going to change the fan with the fan motor with a spare one that I've got. Then as I took it off, unfortunately, you guys, I've kind of think, but it was absolutely totally blocked. It looks like there's something in here as well, some blue thing. I don't know if you can see that. Let me get a screwdriver. So let's see what that is actually. It's like a bit of plastic or something. What is that? Oh, it looks like a bit of rubber. Okay, cool guys, so hopefully this might be the issue. This was all blocking the thermostats, the fan switch, and wouldn't let it actually trip over. I will change it anyway, but I'm also gonna flush this radiator out and get all this gunk out of here, and then put it back together again and just retest it and see if it all works as it should. All right guys, got it running, got it up to temperature, and actually the hydraulics have actually filled up now. It's obviously been stopped for quite a long time, and it's actually really quiet because I was a bit worried actually oil wasn't actually getting to the top. You can actually hear me talking now, whereas before the tappets were really noisy. And the car was idling quite nice. I set the idle and it seems to be fine. The fans come on and switch off and it seems fine. There's not excess pressure in the pipes, as you can see. And also I gave it a little bit of a wash, nothing too much really. It's never going to improve it really. And also I've replaced the wing mirrors so it looks a bit better. I will actually slowly replace the front bumper and the rear bumper and get the same indicator for there, so that the car actually starts to look a bit more tidier than it actually is at the moment. And all right guys, so I've got a bit of a result. The fans come on, switched off, it's not overheating. I took it for a cheeky little drive and it seems fine. Definitely need power steering at some point, but please join me in the next episode where we'll be getting this roadworthy, checking the brakes, the brake lines, bleeding the system up, and getting it ready for its kind of inspection so it can actually be road legal. All right guys, thanks for watching. Ding-a-ling-a-ling, click on the notification bell and be safe.